Austin Hooper signed with the Browns, the highest paid tight end in the NFL at this point anyway. And we mentioned earlier that he talked to some former Browns players, Cameron Jordan and Gary Barnidge, and they said a lot of good things about the Cleveland area and the Cleveland Browns organization.
Yeah, and those were genuine things that those guys said. Both of those guys were big fan favorites while they were here. They loved their time here. Gary Barnidge used to do things with the movies where he would go out and host movie nights with fans and answer questions and things like that. Jordan Cameron was very active in the community, and those guys really meant what they said. And I think that really says a lot. And I think these guys are really, really excited to come here and to play for the Cleveland Browns. And again, I think we're seeing a little bit of a culture shift. I think John Dorsey did take some chances on a lot of players that were a little bit of a handful. And I think that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski will add guys onto the team that might be a little bit, in some cases, less difficult to deal with.
Well, here's what Austin Hooper had to say. He said, no question, being in a position that's dependent upon getting balls from the quarterback, it was definitely a part of the process for me. Playing against Baker-Mayfield live, seeing his arm and seeing his competitive spirit and the way he rallies the guys around him, that's what sold me on him before I was obviously a free agent. He's talking about what happened when he was with Atlanta, and the Browns put a pretty good whooping on them in that game, and Hooper hasn't forgotten it. So then you have the next one, Jack-Conklin, who is from Michigan and a Big Ten guy, and he was a walk-on, believe it or not. And he says, I'm a big fan of Baker. That was an easy choice when I think about it. And I think he can do and what I want to be is a part of the offense with him at the helm. So starting off on a pretty good note right there.
Yeah, people do want to come to a place where there is a good quarterback. And that means a lot. It means a lot to coaches. It means a lot to other players. Because if you have the quarterback, you're going to win football games, and chances are people will have a job the following year. So that's important to everyone. And I think it almost seems like most people are giving Baker-Mayfield a pass on what happened last year. And I think in some cases he deserves that pass because it was basically a disaster. They had no cohesion in terms of the offensive scheme. There was a disconnect between, Freddie Kitchens and Todd Monken and just, the receiver room and the quarterback room. They just weren't on the same page. So I think now they're all aligned. They're all moving in the same direction. Case-Keenum talked a lot about that yesterday as well. And I think that things will flow a lot more smoothly.
Well,